So I know at this point you're probably saying, Blitz, what are you doing, bro? The movie has been out for weeks, and why are you even talking about it? Well, because I finally got around to watching it. So, of course, today we're going to be discussing Joker and the absolute mind-bending experience that movie is. I will say that this is, at least off the top of my head, again, I'm recording this right after returning from the movie, so we finally got around to checking it out with a group of friends, and it was definitely an enjoyable experience in the sense that it is, like I was going to say, quite possibly the best acting I've ever seen personally in my entire life. Like, I've never been one of those people who's particularly a connoisseur of cinema or can analyze, the intricacies of acting and directing and cinematography that we see. But I will say that with this movie, it is literally dripping all of those things. Like, as you watch this film, this is, without a shadow of a doubt, not a fun movie to watch. Like, this is a very, very adult film. This is truly a film that has earned its R rating, and not just because of the violence or anything like that, but it is a very high level film in terms of just the way that it goes on ahead and tackles this character of the Joker. It is not a family friendly or a lighthearted take on the character. It's truly exploring that character and doing a character study on that character in the darkest, most vulnerable, but yet at the same time incredibly aggressive way possible. There are scenes in this film that, and by the way, this is going to be spoilers free. There are scenes in this movie that were truly tough to watch, and whether it be the score, the cinematography, and of course the acting of Joaquin Phoenix, it was just these moments, like when I think back on the movie right now, and again, I probably will watch it again at some point, and I'll talk about that as well in a little bit, but the point is that I think back on some of the scenes, I'm like, holy moly, that was just honestly tough to watch. There's several scenes as this character evolves from Arthur Fleck over to the Joker, and as you're watching this movie unfold, you just kind of there's truly moments where you're like, oh, it's just tough to watch. Like, it is so visceral and so well acted, and oftentimes, they almost take a shot and draw it out longer than you would be comfortable. Like, if it was a scene where something happens and it's like, okay, well, there it happened, but they stay on it and they kind of almost use silence and the acting itself that is unfolding to build this uncomfortable nature to this character. And it really does make you think of, the other renditions of Joker. And I really do love that this movie is not called, by the way, this is a bit of a tangent, but it's not called The Joker. It's just called Joker. Many people have monikered it and now have called it The Joker, but the movie is actually called Joker, which I really like because it kind of works with the whole concept of Joker as he's always been portrayed in the comics. There's just been so many different iterations in the movies, in the games, in the anything that you look to. It really does seem like comic books have become our modern day version of Shakespeare, where you can go on ahead and have different versions of King's Lear, or you can have different versions of Hamlet, and so on and so forth. It's really up to the director and actors representation and just their interpretation of the source material to go on ahead and present it to us in whatever way they see fit. And I think that in general, the thing that I was like, when this movie was done, I was definitely, I don't know if the word satisfied is correct, because I don't know if that's the right word to describe it, but it was definitely kind of like, wow, that was an amazing film, and it really is deserving of all the hype that people are saying of Joaquin Phoenix deserves to get an Oscar for this performance. I really, again, I'm not a connoisseur of cinema, but this is as good of acting as I've ever seen in my entire life. I think that he really blends into that character, and really, what I admire the most about actors, and I know that this will be probably somewhat controversial, but to me, for example, when I see Leonardo DiCaprio, I think he's a great actor, but I think that most of the time when I see him in movies, it's Leonardo DiCaprio. I don't see him as, oh, he's Jordan Belfort as the Wolf of Wall Street. He's still a cool version of Leonardo DiCaprio. It's almost like his real life coolness has superseded his roles, and he's always kind of just different versions of Leonardo DiCaprio. I don't ever see him as these like characters that he's supposed to portray. That's just my opinion. In this movie, I did not see Joaquin Phoenix. Now, of course, Joaquin Phoenix is not the same caliber of star that Leonardo DiCaprio would be. But what I'm getting at is it's like a Tom Cruise character or actors of that caliber where they're mega stars. Oftentimes they don't really feel like they're playing different characters. Like you kind of think, okay, well, the guy that you see in Jack Reacher is pretty much the same guy that we see in the Mission Impossible movies. Like those characters become less and less varied, and there's nothing wrong with that. I still like those movies, they're enjoyable and so on and so forth. But I think that when people talk about the, I guess, art of acting and becoming these different characters, I think this truly is a good example of that, because I think when we look at this movie, again, at least on one viewing, I think that it was just so freaking well done. And it really is a movie, like I said, it's not enjoyable, which I know sounds weird because it's like, well, you're praising the film, but so how could it not be enjoyable? It's just not a fun story. Like it's not something like to me, The Dark Knight and Heath Ledger is a portrayal of the Joker that I think is dark enough, but also at the same time it is fun enough in the sense that you can keep rewatching that movie, and you have, of course, the back and forth between Batman and Joker and the implementation of Two-Face. Here, obviously, they didn't have Batman to play off of, and because of that, you're kind of telling, obviously, a much more somber and dark story of this man's kind of fall into the abyss and becoming a supervillain by all accounts, or a villain, I guess. I think that obviously that affects how this plays out, but the point is that I just think that it's not a fun movie to watch. Like I don't seek to see it again just for the sake of like, oh, this will be a fun film to watch again, because I don't think it is a fun movie to watch. It's a very heavy film, and it's just so darn well acted, directed, and the score in this movie is probably one of the most like complimentary pieces of score that we have seen in recent times. The music truly is a character in this movie, and I think I remember seeing right before I went to watch the movie, I saw Todd Phillips do an interview, and he said that when you're doing a character study like this, like where it's a film that's focused on one character, everything in the movie becomes part of the characters. So the city of Gotham truly is a character. It's like the locations, the music, the way people are dressed, everything becomes characters, and it really does matter within the context of the film because of the way that the movie is made, where it truly does make you question oftentimes reality and what's what and what can you expect, and did that really happen or did this really happen? And again, I'm trying to like walk around without spoiling things. I think that it's just so intricate, the way that the music and the sound and the camera plays, like everything in this movie, it's almost like it's one of the very few times where I took notice of all of the different arts that it requires to make a great movie. It's like that kind of film where it's a very artistic take on this character, and at the same time, I am so freaking excited about the possibility of them doing something else in this type of world. I would love to see this Joker run up against a man who's dressed up like a bat, and what would that play out like? And I would love to just see what does that look like and how does it play out. And I know that Todd Phillips has said that this is a one and done project, but at the same time, he's also gone back on that and has said that when he was pitching this film, he was actually pitching it as like a new label of superhero movies in the Warner Brothers umbrella. And I think if they, for example, a natural kind of evolution of this would be to do a Harley Quinn movie where it's essentially going to be this Joker putting Harley Quinn through the same thing that he went through in his adventure of Joker. Now he gets the addition of Harley Quinn onto his team. And of course, it would be amazing to add Batman into that equation, but I'm just saying that it would be so fascinating to see further exploration of this world. It's almost like it's a really bad complaint because it's almost like you could say that's a good thing, but this movie does make you feel wanting more as far as we get to the crescendo of this character kind of revealing himself as finally Joker, and then it just feels like, okay, well, now I want to see him against Batman. Now I want to see what does this character look like 10 years from now, 20 years from now, from when the movie takes place. And that's definitely a good problem to have. That means they did a good job of making us want more from the movie. But I just wish that we would get the news again with consider how much money this movie has made and the fact that it's probably going to go on to be the highest earning R-rated film of all time. I think that there's the potential for something else to take place. But again, I think it really will be really, really important to have, if they can, to have Joaquin Phoenix and Todd Phillips involved in whatever is next, whether it be just overseeing it or, and honestly, another person that I think will be crucial to have involved is Martin Scorsese, because honestly, this is one of those times, oftentimes we get announcements about, oh, somebody's producing this, like Steven Spielberg is a producer in this, but you don't really see any elements of Steven Spielberg on those films. Oftentimes, it really is just a marketing ploy. Here, it really does feel like you have the fingertips and kind of the ideas and some of the perspectives that you would expect from a Martin Scorsese superhero movie. So I think that it's really, or supervillain movie, I guess. I really do think that it's present, and it would be really, really amazing if they could convince that team to do another project. It would be fantastic. And if not, I truly do think that they could bring in a Todd Phillips or I forget who he wrote this movie with, but maybe the two of them to work on a different character, but within the same world, so that it could be a Harley Quinn or maybe a story or a character study of a Riddler or a Penguin, or just different characters that they could go on ahead and take on. And again, they don't have to be in Gotham. I think it'd be cool if they were, because I think that it would kind of continue to build on this almost like separate label, almost like DC Black that they have in the comics. I think that would be really, really, really cool to see. So regardless, again, I've danced around a lot of the actual statements about this film because I don't really want to spoil anything, because I think there's a lot of interesting twists and turns to this movie, and maybe that's even saying too much. But I would say that I was thoroughly impressed by this movie. It's not an enjoyable film to watch, but it is a great movie. I think it's very, 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 very well made, and all the praise that Joaquin Phoenix and Todd Phillips are getting for this movie, in my opinion, is well deserved, just in the sense that it is truly one of the best movies that we have seen, not just in the genre of comic book movies, which it for sure is, but it's one of the best movies in the last little while that we have gotten to experience in cinemas. So regardless, let me know what you guys thought of the Joker movie. I'm genuinely curious. Let me know down in the comment section below if you thought the movie was good or bad, because I've definitely heard a few people tell me that it is far too dark of a take on the character. The fact that the movie is not accessible to younger audiences, which to me, I'm like, yeah, that's kind of the point of this movie. It's not supposed to be accessible to younger audiences, which again, I will once again repeat that this is a mature film. It's R-rated for a reason. So this movie is honestly not even extremely violent or anything like that. It's just the way that it portrays its violence is so gruesome and so like visceral and aggressive and real that it's really, really, really quite an adult movie. So it's for sure not for kids, not meant to be anything that you could be like, well, yeah, I'll just bring my kid to watch this. It's like, I've never understood that to begin with. I never understood why parents think that it's okay to take kids to R-rated movies. But the point is that I think you can't take them into this movie and then complain afterwards of what you're going to see, because this movie is for sure earning its R rating. So regardless, ladies and gentlemen, let me know what you guys thought of the Joker down in the comment section below. I'm genuinely curious to hear what you think. Don't forget to hit that like button on today's video. And of course, have an absolutely fantastic day, and I'll see you all later, alligators. I apologize about having the review up so late.